And I'm back. I've got a combat mission so we can get our new Caracal into some fighting. Now you may have also noticed that I went with light missiles in place of rockets on my old ship. So although I did keep a frigate-sized weapon, I switched weapons. Rockets do more damage, but they have a very, very limited range. I think we were hitting at about 5K with the rockets that we were using before. The light missiles I'm using now, I'm probably going to be getting, at least 20K, probably out to about 25K that I'll be able to hit targets. That's going to be important because I didn't have room for a web on this fit, and my ship is much slower. It's going to be very hard to get up close like you could in a frigate. Those are very much meant as frigate-type weapons. And I've come back, and I am again looking at an absolutely huge force. That is all disappearing. Well, that was odd. When I warped in, there was tons and tons of battleships and other large, mean things that would have ripped me to shreds if I got in range of them. I believe my mission here is to blow up this smuggling hub. Of course, we'll have to start by taking out the hostile ships. But the downside of using these longer range weapons, I now have 5 missile launcher hardpoint, and so I've got more weapons, but the DPS per weapon is lower now that I've got that range. So although I do have 5 launchers, I'm really not doing much more damage than I was in the Frig. The main difference is going to be I have a much stronger tank that I can really stay in the fight longer. It also will have better potential DPS as I add my other ballistic control module, as I train up my Caldari frigate skill and begin better utilizing my ship's bonus to damage. And once I get locked and they start, oh, let me turn on my afterburner. Once I get locked and these hostile ships start attacking me, I'll be able to launch my drones. I don't want to launch my drones right now because they're just as likely to get locked and attacked by these ships as I am, and I don't want my drones being attacked. Little light drones like that are very easy to pop for frigs like these. So I'll wait until they start shooting on me. Hostile NPCs won't switch aggro. And it looks like they're all launching me. So now I can go ahead, right click on my drones in my bay and launch my drones. And it looks like these guys are already within range. So I'll start launching on them and him I will, and then you'll see my drones automatically started fighting. So they're going to go after that watchman right now, which wasn't really necessary. As soon as my missiles got there, they made pretty short work of him. So I'm going to go ahead and actually split my modules now. I'm going to go ahead and put 3 of the missile launchers on this guy. Let's see if Okay, so he's going to take a little more. But I'll put 3 on him and then the last 2 on this guy. I really just think the missiles look so cool now. Let's zoom out a little bit. We see as I'm taking damage, I'm taking much more damage than I have in the past. Oops, and even without my hardeners, they're barely making a dent, thanks to the very large amount of shield that I have from my extenders. And so we see my drones have switched over to this frigate, and they're going to go ahead and take him out while my missiles make work of this hostile cruiser, which is really just not even denting me. And now that I'm not really taking any damage anymore, I am going to turn off these invulnerability fields. I don't want to kill off all my capacitor. I really probably should have turned off my afterburner. The other ships are quicker than me and determining the range, and they're within my range, so I don't care a whole lot. Using missiles, I'm not worried about transversal velocity so much, so... Or not worried about transversal velocity at all. The ship's raw velocity will affect damage, but that, again, is just not something that is going to matter. I don't have a stasis web of fire, so I can't change it, and that isn't going to... Their range isn't going to matter in that scenario. So we got a couple of more hostile ships that have appeared. Now what I am going to have to watch is making sure that they lock me. I can see my drone's shields right there, so if these new ships lock my drones, I'm going to have to very quickly right click up here and choose to return to drone base so that way they can fly back. I'm actually go ahead and send them after this first target. Put 3 missiles on that second and a couple on the third. I don't want to... See, if I'd put all of my missiles there, it's likely that the, say, 4th missile launcher would have actually popped it, and then the last missile would have just been a waste. Although it wasn't that much better with the split that I just had. But splitting up my damage can actually be a little more efficient in these scenarios where my damage is popping the hostile ships pretty quickly. You can see there the benefit that if I had just launched all of my group at that one target, I would have had to wait longer to be able to launch my missiles at this target. Definitely a much longer cycle time on these missiles, plus there's the delay between actually firing a weapon and seeing its effect. Alright, so let's see what we have to do here again. So take out the auxiliary power array. So I don't have to knock out the pleasure hub itself. So what we'll do is right click on the hub, add large collidables, and find the auxiliary power array, which I am not seeing. Oh, there it is. So it's a large collidable structure. I don't know why I'm not seeing it. So we'll go ahead and orbit that, send our drones after it, and launch all of our missiles at it. So drones, especially without any ship bonuses and only 2 drones and only light drones, are doing very little damage. They're really not going to be making a difference. I probably could keep them in. I more of just wanted to demonstrate them. Where these could get useful if I had larger weapons and I did have a frig or drone come in really close that was simply moving too quick for me to do much damage, my drones could be a definite asset in that scenario. Quite the explosion. Always want to make sure we scoop up our drones before we leave. That is a very bright light still from that explosion. I'm a little curious what's inside this cargo container that was left after I blew up the structure. I have a guess that it might be contraband, so we won't be able to loot it without lots of risk. I shouldn't say lots of risk if I went straight into dock at the station here in system. So not actually contraband, so just some trade items, some carbon and some radioactive waste. So we'll go ahead and scoop that up. I could loot the rest of these wrecks, but I'm not going to. I've definitely still been seeing the vast majority of them empty, so my ISK per hour I'm earning is definitely going to go down if I'm spending time looting these wrecks, especially with the storyline arc is supposed to be doing a lot for me besides ISK, so I want to get through that. That way I can start getting some truly just ISK-based missions. Definitely looking forward to running missions to start building on loyalty points. In addition to the ISK that you get from running missions, you'll gain loyalty points with the corporation you're running them from. The missions I'm running don't get that, they're the special storyline type. But the regular missions do, which you can then spend in a loyalty point store and get lots of great faction ammo, faction ships, some very cool stuff you can purchase with loyalty points, and you can purchase implants. So I'm hoping to get some of those loyalty points from those first missions as I'm building standing and use them to get some +1 or +2 implants depending on how quickly I'm earning LP via the level 1 and 2 missions that I'll be starting with. But that is it for now. We got to see my Caracal go into battle and completely dominate another cruiser and a group of frigates while barely taking any damage itself. So that passive tank is definitely a solid setup. I think that this is going to have no problem rocking level 1 and level 2 missions for me. For level 3s, it definitely will not cut the mustard. It's not going to be able to keep up. I'm going to have to switch to a Drake when I want to start doing some level 3 missions, which is a Keldari battle cruiser. But for now, I think it's going to do great. It's going to keep me employed for a while running these missions, which I'll go ahead and turn in this one, and I will see you next video.